take any questions you might have.
We hope you have lots of questions. Yes.
What was the main reason you did not take the Dragon Dance deal?
Because at the end of the day, you go through due diligence with them, and some of the conversations we were having with them were like, hey, could we package your products and put them into, food, grocery stores across the country? And I was like, well, that's not what we do. We're, local health food hub, we do education, we, do all of that. So we were having conversations like that, and the conversations were going very smoothly, and everything was wonderful as we got to know them and they got to know us. And then at the end of the day, our intention was never to take a deal from them, actually, because we were too young in our business to offer up such a significant portion of the business. And it's not often wise for a company to do that. And as you can see through the growth of our company, if we'd given up 20% back then, it would have been for a very small amount. And so then at the end of the due diligence period, the Dragon's Den didn't offer us a deal, which was actually quite great, because we were considered a risky business for them from the standpoint that we only deal in fresh food. So, you can't package, you can't process, you can't ship it across the country, you can't do all of that. And that was their business model. It was through Manjeet. She has an alcohol distribution, manufacturing and distribution company. And she even said, you don't pasteurize your juice? Isn't that unsafe? And I'm like, well, no, because we make it fresh that morning and we serve it that day. So it's okay. If we were shipping it across the country, no, I would not feel safe with unpasteurized juice. But they have to pasteurize all their beer and pasteurize all their alcohol. So at the end of the day, it just wasn't a good fit for either one of us. Yeah. Good question, though. Yes?
I love the idea of you guys getting into hospitals. I love it. But I'm just wondering, how easy is it to get into the hospitals? Do you have connections, or you have to do the RFP process? And I know that there's already a lot of established companies in that system. So how do you plan to do that?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I'll just take you through the story of how we even got to the point. So it was my dream to get into hospitals, and I was part of the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs, the FWE, which was started by Christina Anthony, who is one of the lead investors at Ottawa Brown. So when I went through the FWE program, she said, what's your dream with the green mustache? She actually called me one day, said, what's your dream with the green mustache? I said, it's to get into hospitals. She said, I'm meeting with the Provincial Health Authority with the guy who manages the contract for hospitals. She says, I'll call you back after the meeting. She called me back after the meeting. They said they want to have a meeting with you. So I showed up at that meeting about a week or two later. They had a file on us this big where they had actually actively been looking for health food restaurants that they could bring in. Because right now, if you go to Children's Hospital, for example, you're going to get, I think it's a Blends and a Starbucks, and some of them have Tim Hortons, but basically they're really fast food coffee shops that serve, packaged processed food. And so they had already been looking because they're looking for food establishments that can provide food that doesn't use salt, that doesn't use oil, that doesn't use refined products, and they're looking at healthier options. So that was great. I was like, wow, that was, pretty easy. And then at the end of the day, the other reason why we meet their criteria, which I hadn't even thought about from a hospital standpoint, is that we're not just a mom and pop operation. So all of the competitors that they were looking at, a lot of these places only had one location, and when they looked at their hours, they were like minimal hours of the day that they're open, and they also close down and sometimes go on vacation, and they can't have that in the hospitals. They actually need establishments that can be open from the morning until the evening, and that was something that we could do as well. So they had faith in our team, which is another reason why they liked us. They had faith in our menu. And then the other reason is packaging. So one of the things that the province is looking at is anytime they give an award a contract to somebody, they're also looking at their sustainability practices. And so because we use 100% organic compostable product that actually gets turned into soil in 14 days when it goes through a commercial composting system, they love that about us because they don't have the ability to store trash at the hospitals, and they don't want to contribute to that trash. So when he showed us his checklist of criteria, he said, you guys meet all this criteria, and there really was virtually nobody else except for the Sedesco, and that's their main food supplier right now. Sedesco right now provides hot dogs to kids in oncology who have cancer, and I worked with in oncology unit at Children's Hospital with clients, and have watched them being served these foods. So there's the push from the nutrition side as well. And they don't want to offer to Sedesco anymore. Yeah. So we do have it.
I was gonna say, they're also very keen on the vending machine, because vending machines are open 24 hours a day. And then you know that if you're working in a hospital, you're working crazy shifts, so being able to get something healthy without having to go 6 blocks makes a lot of sense. And I'll also clarify that the bids that we're looking at are to be in the retail portion, right? So, you know, you move out to Starbucks or whatnot in the retail portion. In the future, we'd love to help directly serve the patients, but that's more of a policy decision. So this is about getting in on the retail side, which is a little easier than like going through the top and having everyone decide, oh yes, this is what we should have to heal your patients. That's a longer
That's our next
process.
group.
That's our next group.
Yes.
But feeding the doctors and the nurses and the families and the patients indirectly is a great way to influence policy.
Does Sylvester do vending machines as well?
They do have vending machines, but they serve, you know, Coke and Pepsi and
Chocolate bars and...
yeah, and packaged cookies that are considered gluten-free.
Not-
Not fresh food. No, yeah. They often don't work in the fresh food field. And another thing as well that I thought really, I don't even think we got into that, but Jeff's previous career for over 18 years was at TELUS. So Jeff knows about contracts and bids and government reports and all of that. And I also worked for over 15 years in government, at all levels of government, actually, from federal government, provincial, and municipal government. So if there's one thing we do know, it's government documents. So that does not scare us. So I think that's another thing going for us as well.
And this is 2+ years in the making already.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, yes, Rena.
This is kind of investment 101. I feel a little silly asking it, but
No silly questions. It's
right,
all good.
That's what I'm asking. So I've never invested in a private company before, and I see like your share price is $7.13. In a private company, how does the share value change? I know how it changes in a public company. It's one event, but how does it change in a private company?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yes, so with a private company, a smaller private company, there's essentially 3 ways for you to earn money, right? So one is that the company or the portion of the company is sold, right? The second one is that you go for an additional round of money, right? So we decide that after 3 years, things are going fantastic. We want to just grow tenfold. You can raise more money, and so the existing shareholders would have a chance to sell their shares at that point. And the other way is through dividends, right? So it's the company's producing extra cash and it hands out on a proportional basis the dividends. So the share, to your specific question, the share price really is only ever changes when one shareholder sells to another, right? A new shareholder or an existing, which happens much less frequently than the public market. But really, the key question is not so much the share price, but when can you get liquidity, right? When can you get money? So anyone would say, and the FrontFundr would say, looking at investment like this is a 5 to 10 year type of investment. It's not a 1 year sort of investment.
But when, like, let's say you issue more shares, and I can sell it, I guess, like, how do you determine the value of the share at that time?
We would do a valuation on
Just
the
the same way
company.
you're doing
Yeah,
now.
exactly what we're doing now. So they would look at our EBITDA, so our earnings. There's lots of different ways of doing valuation. So we chose this model because that was a model that made the most sense for the company. But there are different models. So, you know, at that point, we might pay somebody to do a valuation, another one. And then actually another way that you would also, the share price would change is if the company went public, like Freshie did when it went public as well, is that in our plans right now, definitely not, we don't have a goal set for that, but it definitely is something we talk about. And we're just, open to all ideas for whatever's best for the company at the time, and we'll make the right decisions.
A couple of quick notes on that. Another way to think about valuing a private company, it's kind of like selling a house, right? You look at comparables. No one house is exactly the same, and you look at what's been sold in the last six months. How does yours compare? So you make a proposition, an argument relative to what else has been sold, right? Fun fact: Freshly, when public, which is for us is kind of like, those guys, they're not really healthy, but that's their brand. Their profit model, they're not particularly a profitable company, is based on selling as many franchises as they can. That's what they make their income. It's not actually from the stores. It's from selling franchise and collecting franchise fees. It's not actually from the store. I'm not saying, instead of throwing things at them, that's like public information.
Got it.
Yeah, and you also bring up a great point because when you're investing in a private company versus a public company as well, because your cash is not liquid, you can't just turn around and sell it to somebody else overnight. You are like a dragon's den or angel investor, and most angel investors are looking for 5 to 10 years out with their investment. We hope that it's much sooner than that. Every business hopes it's much sooner than that. But it is generally the nature of the thinking of investors in private companies. Yes.
Have you involved your investors in your business? What's your relationship with your investors right now? How do you involve them?
What's our relationship yet? So
I'm the
He's the
only
investor.
non-family really investor at this point, so it's really good. Like, I just call when I want, and
He usually just pops up in my office.
hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
So on a serious note, after we go through this FrontFundr activity, we'll be issuing regular communications to the investors, both the financial aspects, but also the more the engagement aspect in terms of what's going on. And we've chosen this road because we're an impact company, we're a mission-based company, we're trying to harness the power of everyone who's interested. So we want two-way feedback on the business and how we're doing in terms of managing, but also on what we should be doing. How can we reach more people? So for us, a much more active conversation, and not just the financial aspect, but of course we'll be sharing those details.
So like lifetime discounts to 3 months
So if you go on the site, so I should have put it up. No, it's on the page there. It's FrontFundr, /Green Moustache. There are perks.
Great first.
So there's perks for things to do with the restaurant. There's perks to do with retreats. There's perks to do with getting free books. Signed by the- There's a variety of perks. Yes, sir.
I read your offering document. Understand that there is a shareholder loan of around $300,000.
$130,000.
$130,000, which will mature 3 years from now.
Right.
I just wonder, is this a convertible loan? Will we get share dilution?
No, not at all. No, it's just a straight loan, like it would be a bank loan. It was just made for me to the company, and then if there's money available, then I can get that back at that point.
Do you already have a plan of what you're going to do on maturity? Are you going to refinance it, or?
Yeah, we might refinance it if there's not the ability to pay me back, or
At the same rate?
at 3%, maybe. That's pretty good. That's
At
25%,
The business
just
plan,
kidding.
and the business plan is just paid off, and there's no need for refinance.
Exactly.
It's like the company producing enough cash not to need it.
And that's what we're planning for, is that basically the investment was actually made so that we can input into the marketing and the digital technology over the past couple of years. So that's where that loan came. That was the reason for that loan.
Good. Glad you read the offering document.
Yeah, glad you picked up on that. So we spent a lot of time on those documents.
Wouldn't it be easier if you just inject equity instead of a shareholder loan?
What was if I would just inject equity versus a shareholder loan?
Yeah,
Um.
without taking the interest payment.
Oh, without taking the interest payment?
Yeah, as a check. As a
Yeah.
founder.
Yeah, the 3% is just there because it's, to say no interest is not really a good savvy business move. And I didn't want to put it at, 5 and 6%, which is the standard for, actually it could be anywhere from 5% to 19, 20% is often for small businesses. So, I threw in 3% because it really was more of just a smart business.
In a way to diversify or.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but no dilution once that money gets spent.
Any other investment business oriented questions?
You can ask
Questions?
anything. Yeah.
You might have talked about it in your slides that I missed it. What is your guys' biggest return on investment from the different streams? Is it franchises first, sales second, or what is the delineation?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Everything about our business has been learning because we're sort of pushing the envelope with the plant-based, whole foods, 100% organic. So in the franchising world, one thing we realized is that number one, especially in British Columbia, as Emily can speak to, it's hard to find a location. It is hard to get permits. Like in Vancouver, especially, you could be waiting a year before you get a permit. I was lucky, I would say. I don't want to use the word lucky, but I was just in the right place at the right time for the 3 locations I set up, and that I was able to set them up in less than 3 months. And I kind of thought, well, if I can do it, anybody can do it. But, I live in a little bit of a bubble up in Whistler, and Kitsilano was just an amazing opportunity. And so what we realized, it's not, the franchising, even though technically, yes, it could be fantastic, and, it can be lucrative for the business, and, Freshies making their money by selling franchises. For us, we realized that because it can take a year to a year and a half to get established, but we still need to have the team on board to be able to support the franchisees, then, technically in that time you're losing money waiting for the franchisees to get open. And so for us, we've slowed down on the marketing of the franchising. And we're also a different kind of company that, we've turned down more applicants for franchisees than we've accepted. I think, how many do we accept? Like,
7 or 8, like it's a small,
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Like
It's something
percentage-wise,
bigger.
it's quite
It's
low.
it was like 5%, 5
Yeah.
to 10%.
That
yeah.
even qualified. And so ours is a bit of a different model because we not only provide food, we're providing education as well. And so we want to make sure that the owners are, savvy as nutritionists, as, health consultants, all of those when they open up a restaurant. So now, when you look at our offerings, the vending machine for sure is a no-brainer. The commissary with the vending machine, because the commissary allows us to, there's no staffing for the vending machine. It's all automated. It's, fantastic technology. As well as the wholesale side is fantastic. And with all the food delivery companies that there are in Vancouver, we have the ability to, when we had West 4th, we were doing like $1,000 catering gigs, private catering gigs for people's homes, like in a day. And so wholesale is going to be fantastic. In the city, so that's going to be great. And then on the Richer Health side, it's actually the online course because we've already created it. It's there. Once it's out, there's no labor other than the coaching we provide to the people who purchase the course. So those 3 streams are definitely going to be the most profitable. Yeah. And have the greatest reach. We can scale the Richer Health online course substantially. Compared to, the limitations of geography with having one commissary. But the nice thing is once we saturate a market, we can build a commissary in another location quite easily.
I'll just add that the guy with the commissary kitchen and the vending machines in the hospital, which I mentioned, it's heavily geographically contained, which is very important when you're dealing with fresh food, right? So higher density, high traffic locations in the similar proximity. That's going to be the most profitable for us. And any other questions? All right. Well, I think maybe what we'll do is we will say thank you, and we'll say we'll be here for additional questions if you want to do that one-on-one. And there are tasty snacks and yes, good. Yes, approved. Okay. Yes, they are tasty. Excellent. Yes, so thanks so much for coming out, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.